Join us on Patreon and become part of our journey to uncover history's untold stories. Your support helps us create in-depth content, bring hidden narratives to life, and keep history alive for everyone.
History is often written by the victors, and in the annals of time, entire cultures have been swallowed by the shifting sands of conquest and assimilation. Among these lost peoples were the Black-Skinned Ute, an enigmatic group who once roamed the vast landscapes of the American West. The mystery of their origins, their way of life, and their eventual disappearance remains one of history's most overlooked stories. Early accounts suggest that the Black-Skinned Ute were an indigenous group with dark pigmentation, which set them apart from other Native American tribes. Some historians speculate that their lineage may have been influenced by early African explorers who traversed the Americas long before European contact. Others believe they were a distinct offshoot of the Ute Nation, uniquely adapted to the high desert and mountain terrain they inhabited. Their culture was one of deep spiritual connection to the land. They were known as master horsemen and fierce warriors, defending their territories from encroaching settlers and rival tribes. Oral traditions tell of their sacred rituals, their reverence for celestial movements, and their mastery of herbal medicine. But as the 19th century pressed forward, their numbers dwindled under the weight of forced removals, violent conflicts, and the sweeping tide of manifest destiny. By the time federal records began documenting Native American populations in earnest, the Black-Skinned Ute had all but disappeared. Some were absorbed into other Ute bands, while others faced extinction due to disease and systematic displacement. Few traces remain of their unique identity, leaving only fragmented legends and scattered historical accounts to hint at their once thriving existence. To understand the brutality and political chaos of post-Civil War America, one must turn to the Colfax Massacre of 1873, one of the most harrowing and least discussed acts of racial violence in United States history. The Reconstruction era was meant to heal the wounds of the Civil War, yet in many ways, it deepened the divide. Louisiana, a state rich in agricultural wealth and plagued by racial tensions, became a battleground between white supremacists determined to reclaim power and freed black citizens who sought to exercise their newly won rights. The gubernatorial election of 1872 further inflamed hostilities, as both the Republican and Democratic candidates declared victory, each backed by their own factions. Amid this political chaos, tensions reached a boiling point in Colfax, Louisiana. The town's black residents, recognizing the looming threat posed by the embittered ex-Confederates, sought to defend themselves by fortifying the local courthouse, which had become the symbol of Republican governance. On April 13, 1873, an armed white militia, composed of former Confederate soldiers and members of the Ku Klux Klan, descended upon the courthouse. What followed was not a battle, but a massacre. The Republican defenders, mostly freedmen, were vastly outnumbered. The white militia attacked with superior firepower, setting the courthouse ablaze and forcing those inside to surrender. Despite their pleas for mercy, over 100 black men were slaughtered, many executed in cold blood after laying down their arms. The brutality of the event shocked even some white onlookers, but in the post-Reconstruction South, the massacre sent a clear message: black political empowerment would be met with unrelenting violence. In the aftermath, federal authorities attempted to bring the perpetrators to justice. Several were arrested and charged under the Enforcement Acts, which were designed to suppress racial violence and protect black citizens. However, in 1876, the U.S. Supreme Court, in United States v. Cruikshank, overturned the convictions, ruling that the federal government could not prosecute individuals for civil rights violations. This decision effectively nullified the federal government's power to intervene in racial violence and paved the way for Jim Crow laws to take root across the South. The Colfax Massacre was more than just an isolated event. It was a symbol of the violent backlash against black freedom. It demonstrated how Reconstruction-era gains could be swiftly and mercilessly reversed. Today, the site of the massacre remains largely unmarked, a quiet and painful reminder of a struggle that continues to shape America.